Well, hello there. I am Franklin, your astrologer. Welcome into the Cosmic Watch. And we're going up free live stream right now. The way to get me, Franklin, in a private reading here at weforetell.com is to find the contact number and schedule below in the description. Check out the other free material here on YouTube, things such as your monthly, weekly horoscopes, tarot card reading lessons, um, compatibility videos between the different signs. If you like what you see, please hit thumbs up because it really does make a difference. Thank you for your support. And here we are on the Cosmic Watch, another Friday night. We operate this as a live stream with a live chat room. And throughout the next hour, we'll be joined by subscribers to the network here. And we will do readings for them, find out what's been going on with them in this week, where we had the full moon earlier in the week. And right now, we are under a Pisces moon. Those born today are Gemini with their moon in Pisces, and of course they're dreamers. Of course they are. The thing about Gemini is the twins, and the twins ideally come together. The twins represent the two conflicting sides of Gemini people, and those of the third house. They're the communicators. I mean the real communicators. They are many of the writers, many of the performers that you know, but even more today. This being June the 9th of 2023. Today's date adds up to the number 22. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. Today's birth date is 224. Your birth number is 224. And people born with the birth number of 224, such people as P.T. Barnum, right? Woody Allen, Mark Twain, Lenny Bruce, Margaret Thatcher, people who spoke up, people who always let it out, never kept it in. And that's the thing about communications with Gemini. If they try to hold it in, they're going to cause themselves problems. If they share their feelings with other people, the twins, yes, learning to share. Wow, this is the lesson that everyone at this time of the year is learning, and even more to the point, with the moon in Pisces tonight, you have to decide if it really is patience, or are you just passively waiting for things to happen, because that is the Pisces way. Pisces so sensitive that they can imagine what other people are thinking. Pisces so sensitive that they pick up other people's feelings and their physical ailments. Yes, a Pisces person can go into, say, a waiting room at a hospital or a doctor's office, where there's a lot of sick people who are feeling bad, and there's sort of a bad vibe in the room, and they tend to soak it up like a sponge and find themselves in a very irritable mood, right? And of course, the other thing about Pisces people is they should never try to run, because the feet of a Pisces person are much more adapted to swimming than they are. So it's like trying to run with swim fins on. And here is Kika saying hello. Kika, I don't believe you've been with us before. Is there? Let's see what we could do for you tonight. If I were to pull a card on for Kika, it's you taking care of other people, you showing others that mind over matter, love over brute strength. You uh, you're um, you're looking to help. So you perhaps you're even doing readings for people. That's it's a good line of work. Kika says, "Do you feel a reconciliation with my husband before our divorce ends?" Wow. Okay. Well, let's have a look at that. A reconciliation with the husband before the divorce. Whatever that means to Kika. And answers yes. And you can see the couple out there in front of the home. And so reconciliation, you hit it right on the nose right there, Kika. She said, I don't read tarot, uh, um, but everybody is readable through the tarot cards, because the messages are coming, dear, from your spirit guides. You see, whenever your guides want to say anything to you, they come to you in your own voice, the voice you trust most. So when you are asking questions or giving advice to other people, listen between the lines. Your guides are giving you information. Now, my guides can hear that, and they transfer that to me through the tarot cards. That's so the information that I give you is from your spirit guides, coming from the guides who really want to help you. So they say yes, reconciliation is where the divorce ends, of course. Uh, so yes, everything is possible there. And when? How soon is that going to happen? That of course, is the hardest thing for us to hit. Uh, okay, so this is like the two of you meeting outside the courtroom on the way in. That's how close it'll be, and it'll be the 11th hour. It'll be the last moment when apparently you'll realize that it's the wrong way to go, because it's too final, and you're not through. The story's not over for the two of you. So here's how you know, Kika, how you know if you are supposed to be with a certain person. And she says it's up to him. He filed. The way you know from your side that you're supposed to be together is if you can forgive. And the way he will know from his side is if he can forgive you. So, as you say, he filed in. It's up to him, and for the two of you to both change your feelings at the same time to see it differently. I think that's what's going to happen here. And now we hear from Anne May. And what kind of readings do you do? I do tarot card readings, dear, and I allow my guides to put my hand on the right card. I always try to give myself a chance to pick any of the cards, and it's my guides listening to your guides and giving me that information. Kiki says, so you said yes for reconciliation. Yes, dear. Yes, it looks as though that is what's going to happen at the very last moment. So it must be that you miss each other. I think that's what you're gonna find there. And May says you talk to the guides, and I listen to my guides. They come to me through my voice. Anytime I'm giving an answer to anyone, I have to listen closely for the undercurrents that are meant for me. My guides are always trying to talk to me, and the whole thing is to listen to what your guides are trying to say to you. They will come to you through not only through your voice, but also when they appear to you. And when an angel actually appears to you, they come in the form that you will trust most, and that's usually somebody who looks very much like you. Maybe an older version, an older, wiser version. It's how you picture angels. That's how they come to you in particular, and this is how they come to everyone who's ever been on the planet. This is why we have people who just know in their heart that they are in the image of God and no one else is, right? Only their image is because that's the image they've been shown. That's the image that angels take. When the angel, when they were going to appear to Moses, it was as a burning bush, right? It all depends on what you as an individual are looking for. All of the images, says Hanley. That's the wonderful thing about the tarot cards. Tarot cards must have been invented by the first travelers who were looking for a way to communicate with people that they didn't know their language. They showed them color pictures, right, of situations that people all around the world could understand. But what to look at? Well, it all starts with looking at the sky, looking at the stars. People have always wanted to communicate with God, and reading the stars and writing about it begins about 3,000 years BC. People have always seen comets and eclipses as signs that there was going to be a death of a leader of a country. Like you said, how to evolve and make less. The good thing about Geminis is that they do express themselves, and they are always looking for the truth. The people of the third house literally have to say what they say. Here's Heather saying good evening. And how am I this evening? I'm doing very well. Except for the terrible air outside that you can't breathe. I went out with my mask on today. Neighbor moving out this weekend. Will the new neighbors be friendly as the old one? So Heather is about to get new neighbors and wants to know if they're going to be as friendly as the people who are leaving. No, they're not. No, they're they will be going the other direction. Yeah, unfortunately, right? That's but the good news is they won't be around very long. So the replacements will sort of take care of themselves. So it's good and bad, like most news. It's you don't get to choose your neighbors, and when you have good neighbors, oh boy, it's such a wonderful thing. And Heather says, well, I suppose that's good. Yeah. So you never know what you're going to get. My next door neighbor is of a certain age that he just bought himself this great big motorcycle right next door. When it turns out it's an electric motorcycle, doesn't make a sound. It's amazing like you think he's on a skateboard, right? Because he's just gliding down the road. I wonder what's going to happen to racetracks when there's no more noise, when it's all electric cars. Will people still go out and watch the races when there's no noise? So Heather, you have you have new neighbors coming. They're not going to be as friendly as the last one. They're going to sort of blow against the wind, and so there might be some conflict, some grating there. But I don't think they'll stay more than just the summer. So it could be worse, right? And when the year that we're in, this has been such a year of recovery, and such a year of surprising information coming out. Heather says they'll make the neighbor on the other side mad then too, probably. Ooh, and she's particular. Yeah. Well, the reason we have neighbors, right, is to teach us how to work together, how to be together, how to forgive each other. That's really the question. Always, you can choose, because you have free will. You can choose either to forgive or take revenge, and the revenge road never ends. Revenge leads to revenge, to more revenge, and before you know it, you've got the Hatfields and McCoys who can't even remember why they're fighting each other. So, the thing to do, of course, is try to live with everyone. And wouldn't it be wonderful if the world were that way, where you could? Heather says so true, but two wrongs don't make a right, and it's true. And that really is the downside of living in cities. It is having so many people on top of each other and getting into each other's business. And that's why several hundred years ago, one of the great poets said, good fences make good neighbors, right? But of course, the way they build 9 yards these days, you're right on top of your neighbor, and it's yeah, it's great to be out in the country. So so here I am in this wonderful little college town out right. I mean, you talk about in the middle of the country, and also dead center between the Country Music Festival in Nashville and the Bonnaroo Festival in McMinnville. Both of them about 40 miles in either direction. So at this time of year, there's no need to try and drive. The interstates are just gridlocked. You know, everybody is trying to get into town, and that includes all of the entertainers coming from all over, you know, the country, all over the world, and trying to get into this town. And it's just amazing how many people they can squeeze into the hotels, that just keep going, you know, straight up. It's and this has always been a very laid back community of songwriters. Songwriters are not by their trade headliners. They're the people behind the scenes mainly. The people who stayed home and wrote the songs that the stars go out and sing. So it was a real community of songwriters, and even more than that, song publishers. That's that's the business that really brought country music to Nashville. Was they had all of the publishing companies here, and it's it's an amazing thing to see now what's happened to the publishing business. I mean, when's the last time you saw a magazine rack? You know, it's or daily newspapers have shrunk to such small things. Hey, here's Larry saying hello from up in the woods in Michigan. Larry, you guys are not snowed in still this time of year, are you? Yeah, now see, Larry lives out in the woods. I mean, really, where where I'll bet you're getting a lot of smoke from the fire in Canada right now. Heather says, "True, you have to really look for magazines these days, and there's just not that many options. It's it's amazing how magazines just sort of disappeared. You never know what's going to happen. People used to think it was a good investment to buy telephone booths. When Bell got out of the business and they sold to to private interests, you could buy your own telephone booth there for a while, and and everything is going virtual. That's that really is the the downside, you might say, of the computer age. Computers having these wonderful stocks of knowledge. Why not let them put that together and do things for you? Larry says there was no smoke today, but we had a lot of it last week. You know, all the way down here to the middle of the country, it's been just foggy and bad air, and it's supposed to be like for one more day, and it's incredible when you think that the people out in California have been enduring this every day for years now. How they can stand it, I don't know. Heather says Pennsylvania was bad on Wednesday and Thursday. Pennsylvania, man, you talk about wilderness. Pennsylvania. I was driving across the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and the snow they'd cleared was so high it was over the signs, and you couldn't see what exit was what. You had no idea where you were. That's too much snow, man. And May says virtually the option to go spirit without time. Ooh, the option. And May, um, there are those souls who can move by transcendental meditation. Souls such as you and I who can move from one location to another. Those who can leave their sleeping bodies behind, and their spirit can travel and can experience things with the spirit world without it being their final thing, without dying, of course. That's the only way most people ever get to experience it, right? Is they die and they are taken for a review of their entire life, everything that they've said, everything that they've done. And May says, if you make that a computer game, you have it the same but limited. Very much like our satellite telephone system, going around the world, being able to send our images around the world. It's just like being there. The options that we have exist in the Book of Life or the Akashic Records. The only things that are written in stone there, the only things that can't be changed are the past. And you can see, your guides can see for you what's in the records, and they will tell you exactly what happened in the past. But looking at the future, there are different options. Right now, today, you are writing your story in the Akashic Records. It's an ongoing thing. You have free will, virtual connections, virtual movements, and ideas. The soul never dies. There's no such thing as the soul dying, being killed. You only morph into another reality, another world, which, when you think about it, must exist inside of us. Where else could all that be at? How could they have access to every thought that you have? How can they be with you all the time? It's because they're within you, and sometimes they get ahead of you, don't they? Sometimes you hear yourself. If these guides are within you, in your heart, in your soul, they're closer to your mouth than your own brain is. You hear yourself sometimes saying things and wondering, who said that? And of course, it turns out to be the best thing you could have said. It gets things done. It moves things along. And this is the connection that you have to the spirit world. Your guides and angels are trying to push you towards your enlightenment. They're trying to help you to learn. Heather says, how can you find the names of our guides? Only if they want to tell us that. And you always have to remember that any information that comes from your guides is meant for you. And they might tell you most anything to get you to do what they want you to do at that particular moment. All's fair for your guides. So you are the one who has to interpret what they're telling you, just as you interpret the signs and the omens that come to you. Um, and May says, agreed, we already have our virtual world inside that we make up, connecting and making things work. Exactly, your nervous system. When you touch a hot stove, you don't feel it until it goes up your nervous system to your brain and then comes back and tells it to move your hand. That's how things move through you, and why you need to release everything, because you don't want to get stuck inside of you and block you up. And Heather says, yes, they tell you what you need to hear. That is exactly it, Heather. They tell you what you need to hear. And that is to move you along, to move you towards your enlightenment, because we all have to help each other, because obviously some souls being enlightened, say Jesus, the Buddha, some have become enlightened. It's not enough. We all must become enlightened for us to go to nirvana, for us to go to heaven, to meet God. We all must work together. We can't leave anybody behind, no matter even if they're your enemy. God thinks the same of all of us. God has no favorites. Why would God have a favorite among the 8 billion people who are on the earth right now? They're all children of God. And this is what we learn by the fact that the angels come to us looking like us. Think about that for a minute. That means an angel can look like anyone who's on the planet. And that means everyone's blessed. Everyone has their own connection to God. And when they tell us what we need to hear, we have to interpret that. We have to see that the words in the Holy Scriptures, we know they're Holy Scriptures because they mean something different to us today than they did to people thousands of years ago. And it's still useful material. It's still to guide us. Heather says that what they need to hear. Anne May says, depending on the general movement, or we just stay like it is. So it's this. God requires us to move, to get better, to get enlightened, to not just stay where we were. So it doesn't matter how high you rise, only how far you went from where you began. should we stay as his? Here's Nene saying, hey, Nene, I'm glad you joined us tonight. I think it's time that we drop some cards. Let's see. Nene, if I were to ask your guides what you need to hear tonight, it's about a child. It's yes, and it's about that sun coming up, better days coming, brighter days coming. This child is bringing better days. There's a child who's either just come or is on the way. Maybe it's that far away, or maybe they're already here, but it's the child who is filling your heart with love. And Nanny says, waiting on my new job to call. And okay, on a date for the new job. And that could be what we're seeing here is the child, the beginning, the seed of this new job. So if I were looking at it that way, that horse that the child is on is the friend that helped you get the job, the horse you rode in on, and so if you're waiting on them to call right now, the outcome of that is well, there you are waiting. You've got 4 more days, right? Everything will go just as planned. You'll follow each step, and within 4 days you'll know exactly. And looks like it's good news. Looks like it's you'll be celebrating and sleeping easy. I think that's the message of being in the bed is your worries are going to come to an end. And May says to Heather, depending on what is going on. Yeah, you see as far as knowing who your guides are, there are different reasons that a guide would be with you. We have the ones who come to us when we're children. They're the ones that will come back to us in the last couple of weeks when we're in the hospice and show us the way out. We have those who seem to be tasked with keeping us in line, our conscience. And we also have those that are just along for the ride who want to feel your emotions. What would be the thing that the spirit would miss and would want? Feeling, emotion. So the more strongly you feel your emotions, the more you are likely to have followers, hangers on, those that are just along to experience your emotions. And the greatest emotion, Nene, the greatest emotion we can feel is gratitude. It makes everybody feel better. It makes everybody feel good to acknowledge that you first of all, you needed the help of other people, and that you were able to accept that help. That's so much of it. The world we live in today, people will not accept help from people that they don't trust. From the good Samaritan, right? They feel that there's this meanness of spirit that seems to be all over the world, and it's brought on by authority, people trying to tell each other what to do, and this is always a huge mistake. When your guides come to you, no matter who you are, what your position in the world, they're talking to you. They don't mean for you to go tell the world that you're the leader now. You're taking over. They mean for you to be able to use their help and to know that they're going to be just as helpful to people that you don't care for. And that's the lesson of everything is to learn how to accept help from other people. if you were here alone, if you were on a desert island, all by yourself, there it would be pointless. There would be no reason for you because there would be no future. So people have always come together. People have always helped each other. I think that's why we're here. That's why we're waiting around now, and so many of us wondering why we're here, what's going on. Hey, here's Cody coming into the chat room. Cody, good evening. Let's see what Cody is up to on this Friday night. Picking up what other people made mistakes. Other people screwed things up, and you had to clean up behind them. But as it turns out, things are changing, and you are going to take over for these people who messed the job up. Mistakes are a part of the world. Everybody makes mistakes, so we have to forgive everybody. Now, let me let you in on a broadcast secret. When I was on the radio a few years ago, everything depended on the rating books. Rating books were kept as diaries. People wrote down exactly what station they were listening to or watching, and they very often waited till the end of the week to write that stuff down. And so it was all about what they remembered. And you know what they remember more than anything is mistakes. Mm-hmm. So on radio, you find yourself humanizing yourself, getting people to identify with you by making mistakes. And this is what they're doing on local television right now. Have you noticed that local TV reporters never do a second take? They leave the mistakes in. It's all done about getting ratings. Mistakes sell. It's just some of the strange things that came about when there were only just a very few broadcast signals out there, and everybody was watching the very same things all the time. That's where my childhood comes from. Cody says something about radio and television. True. It's the most memorable moments looking back in radio and TV would be mistakes. Always would be the mistakes, because as Cody says, they were done live. And of course that caused a lot of problems and finally went to the delay system, the 7-second delay, where everything was within the delay system. The people who brought us the original television broadcast pictured having everybody in America watching television. Everybody in America watching one of three choices. And that is how television got to be as bad as it did back in the 1950s, when every other show was a Western. The Westerns were what everybody understood. They were the common denominator, that you might say, of broadcast out there. Cody says, watching the same thing, only had the main major networks. Yeah, yeah. The on cable the other night, I saw a Tom Mix movie, a silent movie. Tom Mix made over 300 movies, and the movie studio burned down, and there's only two that survived. And the first thing you notice about Tom Mix is that white hat, that humongous white hat. On the cover of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, where they have all of the famous people behind the Beatles. The guy in the great big white sombrero is Tom Mix. Tom Mix, who was a horse whisperer. He had Tony the Wonder Horse. Tony was so good that he got into the movies. Tom Mix was his trainer, and Tom Mix also becomes the first cowboy star in the days of the old westerns, when there was a code of the West. Imagine this, and when you think of the gritty westerns that are presented now, the code of the West said you could not shoot an unarmed man, and of course you couldn't shoot a woman at all. But when the bad guy ran out of bullets, click, 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 he just held his hands up. He knew he wasn't going to get shot. The code of the West says you can't shoot the guy when he's out of bullets. And this is what came to Hollywood in the person of the best friend of Tom Mix, and that's Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp did not die in Deadwood. Wyatt Earp died in Hollywood. Wyatt Earp was brought by his old friend, Tom Mix, to Hollywood, where he was drinking with all of the Hollywood writers. And Wyatt Earp is the one who got to tell the story. So when you see Westerns now, you see Wyatt Earp's version of the Old West. Why is Wyatt Earp always the good guy? Because Wyatt Earp is the one who wrote the book. And this tells us something else. Do you know who wrote the Bible? There's a guy named Moses. Who comes off looking best in the Bible? Of course, it's Moses, because Moses got to write the book. Moses was the first historian. Here's Cody saying we had a fourth network. Okay, the Dumont Network, the butt of many jokes in comedy shows for the next 20 or 30 years there, right? And it lasted only 10 years, the Dumont Network. And Cody says, I've heard that the Paramount Network, the Yankee Network, Mutual Broadcast System, was going to be a television network. I have a 1938 radio that lists on the dial the call letters of every radio station. And up above the radio dial, there were television experimental stations. They called them X stations. And the they so the television networks, this was a real dicey business, trying to have programming that would appeal to people in New York and out on the West Coast, people in Texas and people in Chicago. It's it's really what brought the country together, was watching these same shows and trying to um, trying to become television stars. In the 1950s and 1960s, that was the end game. I mean, that was the ultimate job, was to be on television and to have that sort of influence from coast to coast. All started on a radio, says Cody, and that is that's very true, and it all points to where we are today, where we've gotten to. My grandfather's grandfather laid the telegraph lines across this state, and those telegraph lines, little electrified lines with taps on them, right? That is what has become the satellite, the 5 satellite network that surrounds the planet and gives us instant communication from point to point. And this means we can all work together. You talk about one world. I mean, it's the differences between the different people out there can be looked at as the differences in horoscopes. You know, thousands of years ago, everyone from the people in Babylonia to the American native Indians, they're looking at the same sky. Everybody in every country around the planet looked at the same sky, the same stars making the same movements, and read them kind of the same, but very differently. Their own way of being able to divine what God is trying to tell us by what they individually were trying to see, and it's all about what they wanted to see. Right? They were all looking at the same things, but they all came to different conclusions, different ways of looking at the sky. And then just about 200 years ago, there's a gentleman who wrote under the pen name Alan Leo, who took the Islamic horoscope way of looking at the world as a 360-degree circle that can be divided in 10-degree angles. And God is the sun, and everything comes from the sun to humans at these different angles, the different rays and the different days. Okay, Alan Leo takes this and comes up with the system of sun signs. And suddenly, instead of horoscopes just being for heads of state and for their children, of course, it's for everyone on the planet who knows their exact date of birth, from the lowest to the highest. It's all about what part of the zodiac was coming into the sky at that particular time. Here's Cody saying Jackie Gleason made his big break on Dumont. his original variety show called The Cavalcade of Stars in the early 50s, before moving on to CBS in the early and mid 50s, The Jackie Gleason Show. I'll tell you, one of the funniest things about the 1950s is Mr. Minnow. Ed Minnow. Minnow was an intellectual who called 1950s TV the Great Wasteland. And this was because it was all shoot 'em up westerns, right? And not sophisticated enough. And then Mr. Minnow in 1961 was named the head of the FCC. And every television show suddenly had to meet his standard. And it's goodbye to all of the shoot 'em ups. And we suddenly have family fare. I mean, and they had to do this overnight. These things had to be slapped together and thrown up there. And all of a sudden, we've got Gilligan's Island as the most watched TV show in the country. And as an inside joke, the people who made Gilligan's Island named the boat the Minnow, right? Because it's sailing off and it's not going to make it. It's going to fall apart. Nobody's going to watch these shows. It was an inside joke that Minnow not only wins out, but it is his forward looking that expanded the television dial, that gave us the UHF stations, the ultra high frequency stations. And when Minnow was the FCC chairman, they passed a rule that said all new television sets will now have the expanded band on them. And this is the beginning of the expanding and locally owned little TV stations that pop up everywhere. And if not for Minnow's foresight, it could possibly have just not happened. Cody says that was the beauty of the golden age of television. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And to think that it came out of radio, and I mean that's all it was a mechanical way of sending pictures that came in upside down in the original broadcast of television. So that's the end of our show for tonight, and I do want to thank all of our participants, everyone who has been in the chat room tonight, and those people who do make this show. And remember to hit the thumbs up button to show your support. I'm Franklin. This is the Cosmic Watch, and I'll see you again next week, same time, same station.